Happy Earth Day, everybody. I'm so glad to see you here. It's incredibly beautiful Thursday, April 22nd. We've got an incredible show today. I'm so excited about it, and it's a perfect day to celebrate Earth Day. Normally, if you've seen me on Facebook, I like to get every day into the woods and share 60 seconds of serenity. Today, I got 60 minutes of Stella, so this is going to be fun. Before we get started, I want to thank my sponsors, 5 Star Guitars, 5 stars based in Beaverton, Oregon. If you are a guitarist and you're interested in playing and getting a deal on stuff, they're based in Oregon, so there's no sales tax. And if you use the promo code below, use the link 5starguitars.com/allaccesslive. With the promo code of allaccess15, you'll get 15% off everything you see there. And you can also get repairs. You can get lessons from pros like Jennifer Batten, who has her Guitar Cloud Symposium showing up soon. You go to guitarcloudsymposium.com. You can sign up for a workshop with the greatest guitarists on the planet, including Jennifer. She just had Steve Lukather on last week. She's had Dweezil Zappa and Steve Vai and other pros. So get lessons after you go to 5starguitars.com and get your deals. Now, I also want to thank Audix Microphones, also in Oregon. They brought these incredible microphones and my headphones to me. If you go to Audix USA, you can hopefully develop a voice and sound almost as good as this beautiful, wonderful, talented, incredible artist, Stella Parton, on her 40th album. Thank you so much for being here. How are
Hey,
you?
how you doing, Kevin?
I'm great. I was just mentioning 40 albums, the Survivor record that came out recently. That's an incredible career. You've
It's
been at
been
this
I've
for a little
been
bit.
busy.
How do you put out
I've
40
been busy.
albums in 29 years of life, huh?
Well, honey, I've been busy.
Yeah. I
I think this last 20 years has been busier than the first, 30 years. So,
Why do you
but
think
that's
that?
been good.
Do you feel like you've had to hustle more, or just you've been more in demand?
Well, I think once I got rid of thinking about the industry itself and just worked on my art,
Okay.
then I didn't waste energy on other people's decisions or opinions of what I was doing. I just did what I wanted to do, and it's made me a lot more productive.
You're
May not
you're
be better, but to me, it's
yeah.
been a lot more fun, so I don't
Yeah.
really care.
Well, life is better, right? If it's a little bit more on your terms, right?
Yeah,
So
of course.
I mean, in the
Well,
business,
you're an artist, you know.
I do. There's very little in this industry that we have under control. But if you can call your own shots, you're in a position where you've earned those stripes, right? So,
That's right. I said, "Hey, I'm my own boss. I can't divorce me. I can't fire me. So I better learn to do something that I can get along with
would
myself
you
on."
would you divorce you if you could?
No, actually, I like myself. I'm glad that I'm at a place I didn't used to because I spent so much time. I think this might be a female thing. I don't know, but I spent so much time trying to get the approval of people that I should never have wasted time on.
Sure.
And I think I've always been an authentic, honest, fair, compassionate person. So I mean, what else do I need to be? I mean, no one's perfect, but I think that's a pretty good place to find yourself.
Absolutely. I would say you're probably speaking about both relationships, romantic relationships and business relationships, music industry
And
stuff.
family relationships,
Yeah.
friendships, all relationships.
You know, um, you mentioned your family quite a bit, and I have the links down below, folks. If you're watching this podcast live, after you're done with this, make sure you go to stellaparton.com, hit her site. She's got links to all of her social media links, including her podcast, Pardon Me, Stella, or Pardon Me, Nashville, sorry. But
Right.
in the podcast, what I love about it is that you talk about family, you talk about
I
your
do.
connection with them. It's really personal. And, you're sharing recipes, like family recipes, which is amazing. And it seems to me like you don't mind being vulnerable and opening yourself up to people to get them to know more than what they might read about in People magazine, right?
Well, people have drawn such conclusions that were so off base about me my whole life and also throughout my career. And I just got really tired of it. So I decided I'm just going to be, real open and let people know what I think, whether I'm happy or pissed off. So
Yeah.
I just let people know what I think. And, and I'm not so hoity-toity that I can't say a bad word in front of people or all that stuff because everybody does. They just act like they don't.
Right.
I just, I think the things that have been the most important to me and the things that I love the most are cooking for family and friends, music, of course, and being home, reading. I love to read. And I like to dress up now and then. Thanks for wanting me on your show so I'd have a reason to dress up because I'm one of those earthy women that doesn't do that all the time. I like to just be plain and scrub down to the bone, as my mom used to say.
Yeah, well, you got a lot of natural beauty. You don't have to do much to gussy up on you.
Well, you're
Um,
sweet. Thank you.
Now, we've got friends here in Germany on the chat that say, "What a great looking lady." It's true. You, I think you and your sisters, you've got some good genes. You guys all look like, you've held up incredibly well. Your voice is still phenomenal. That's one thing about, as we all get a little bit up there, your voice changes, right? I mean, not just your physical makeup changes, so that your projection, your range kind of changes a little bit as singers. But you seem to really have managed, because I've seen a ton of live stuff out there, and you still have like just a beautiful range. Your tone is fantastic.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. Actually, I think I sing better now than I did when I was younger. I feel like I've learned how to control my instrument.
Okay.
And I never have been one to drink heavy. I never did any kind of drugs or smoke, cigarettes. I've social smoked with
Sure.
family and stuff, but I've never been a habitual smoker or drinker or done drugs. And I've been healthy. Um, and fortunately, so I've been able to retain the voice that I was born with. But another thing, Kevin, that I always did, which a lot of artists, especially in country music, and I'm talking about family members as well, they would sing too high in a higher key than they should have in live performance, and they would push their vocal cords to the limit. And I've never had, vocal nodes on my vocal cords or anything like that. Never had that because I would always sing in my mid range. And I would rather not soar out over the band. It made the band have to play quieter because, I didn't have an electronic amp behind me. I only
Sure.
had a microphone. So I think that's what's helped me. I've never had nodes on my vocal cords. So it's never messed with, the quality of my voice. And I've learned how to use it better. I think I'm better now than I was when I was in my 20s, 30s, and 40s and 50s. So,
I I wish I could say that, but that's
well,
that.
people think that they need that every show is their last show.
Mm,
Actually, your voice is your only instrument. You can go buy another guitar, another piano player, but you can't buy another voice. That's
sure.
it. And it's organic. You have to take care of it. So I've always seen my voice as, um, that's my money. If I don't, if I can't work, then I'm not making a living. So I've been blessed, but I've been smart somehow. And intuitively, I knew not to let the band destroy my voice.
Sure. No, those loud drummers, man, I know we can do damage to those singers, but
Oh,
I, I,
I've had drummers before that I felt like they were kicking me off the stage. They were so loud, and
oh,
they heard about it backstage.
I
Trust me,
bet they did. Yeah. You have
they
any?
sure did.
Okay, so I have to ask that. As a drummer, tell me a story, just a story that sticks out to you of just something crazy that happened with one of your old drummers in the past.
Well, my drummers were all I've had a band for 45 years, so I've had all kinds of musicians work for me. Now I will say that I have fired more bass players than I have anybody.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I don't know why they just can't get it together sometimes. And it's not that they don't play well on stage, it's just that they have all this other stuff going on. It's like, you can't bring that to the job. We don't want to know about that. But my drummers have always been some of my favorite people. And I just lost one of my favorite drummers a couple of years ago that worked for me for quite a few years, Richard Furman. And he was the best drummer. And he understood how to color around me. A lot of drummers just play,
Right.
but he was like a musician in that he knew where to accent things around the style of singing that I did, and I loved him for that. But we used to have so much fun. He was very comical, and if I wanted him to help me pull a prank on the rest of the band or something, he was all in all the time. And I loved Richard for that. And you could always count on a drummer. Are you that kind of drummer?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, no,
Yeah, he was the best prankster in the band and always was. He would help me do anything. One time we were out on the road and we were bored. We'd been out so long that I'd come up with everything I could to keep them entertained and to keep the morale up. So I decided that I would be blind that day.
Okay.
And so we would go into stores and stuff, and Richard would lead me around. And I thought it'd be really funny to go into this shop where they had little figurines, little glass figurines.
Oh,
and
no.
stuff. And so I was tentative to not be able to see. And so the lady in the store, she was just freaking out, and I would pick up stuff. I would feel it. And so we were having so much fun with that. But Richard was all in, he was all in. And he would say, "Oh, she's fine. She knows what she's doing. She just has the feel of everything before she."
Oh my God, I love that.
So it's really cruel, but it was fun too.
Oh,
you know how
people.
we do.
I think I've heard a lot crueler jokes from some drummers I know, but I think we've got to have fun on the road. You talk about keeping morale up. That's something that people that don't tour and don't play, especially that don't tour, right? There are plenty of musicians that stay home and they've got this idea about being out on tour, and it sounds so glamorous, right? It sounds like, everyday limos. You've got tons of money and tons of,
Get to eat out all the time.
Exactly. Yeah, they don't know about the 3 o'clock truck stops, right? And
No.
sometimes when you're in those small podunk towns passing through, and there's no great hotel, Motel 6 sounds like a luxury at that point, right? So,
Oh,
yeah,
I know.
we've
And the catering sometimes, I'm not a meat eater, so they bring pizza and they'd say, well, she's a vegetarian. Make sure that there's something she can eat. So I've had more French fries in my life than salad. I have lived on French fries and salad because that's about all I could ever get.
It's getting better now, though, right?
Yeah,
Don't you think of catering? I think more people are
so.
realizing that, a healthier diet, especially now. But it's interesting because a lot of musician friends of mine on the show, we've talked about their memories of catering. I know that a lot of venues, if we're on tour, I oftentimes remember more about the green rooms and the catering than I do about the venue itself, like the stage, because it's tough to find really great home cooked food when you're out on the road. Sometimes places do it. There are some catering companies that they'll bring you something that you think, oh my gosh, I haven't had this in 30 years. It reminds me. But is it that way with you too?
It is. I remember my first trip to the UK, and I think I was gone 2 or 3 weeks, and I ate, but it wasn't what I was used to. And I remember getting home and dropping my purse on the living room sofa and diving into the kitchen and making like potato salad and baked beans and all this stuff. And everybody in the family was laughing because they said she didn't even sit down. I said, I was so hungry. I had to come home and cook for myself.
Oh, yeah. It's like you've been released from jail,
Yeah, I know.
The UK food has changed a lot too. Thank goodness, because
It has. I love Indian food, but not every day of the week.
Isn't that interesting? They have so much Indian food everywhere you go. You can see curry, you get shawarma spots and kebabs, every place.
Yeah.
But those are, you wouldn't think of just all these places in the UK being so centric that way. I expected fish and chips everywhere, but
Yeah, and I'm okay with that to a point. But I like good home cooked food. I'm a meat and three kind of girl. I like a blue plate without the meat. Just
Right.
give me all those vegetables. And being from the South and being a good cook, I know how I want it to taste. And so you can't always get that. But hey, we're happy to be anywhere. The way I see it, as long as I'm getting to play music, as long as everybody's happy, I'm happy. So it's easy.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. It's before I go into this, I was going to ask, are you the cook of the family? When you guys get together as a big family gathering, are you the one that preps all the food?
I cook a lot,
Yeah.
but a lot of my sisters cook. I think I'm one of the better cooks, but I think we all fight over that. But I cook about every day, even at home by
Okay.
myself. I like to eat home cooked food. I think it's healthier for you and it's fresher, and you can do it exactly like you want it. And I've written cookbooks, so I've always been a kitchen girl. I like to be in the kitchen.
We have a lot in common. I love to eat, so I think I was mentioning. I'm glad that you brought up the music thing, especially the last year.
Hmm.
A lot of musician friends of mine, including myself, had a little bit of an identity crisis over the last year with the pandemic because we've spent our entire life really identifying as that particular role. Whether you're a
Hmm.
singer or a drummer or whatever. Some of my friends were really struggling with this because they didn't have any identity outside of being on stage with a band.
Isn't that sad
It
for
really
them?
is sad. Yeah. And I'm blessed. I've got plenty of other things going on, but I really missed that outlet. That was the hardest thing for me. But for you, one thing that I love in your podcast is that you approach the beginning with gratitude. You're always thankful for what you've got, not what you don't have. I
Oh
don't
yeah.
ever, I don't have your focus about on what I can't do right now because of the pandemic or anything else. It's important, right? I mean, and so has that always been your thing? Have you been a gratitude person?
Absolutely. The way I grew up, there was so many of us, and I never was a needy child, and I didn't ask for much, but and everything that I ever asked God for, I've had. And so it's almost like I'm so grateful for the things that God has blessed me with. I would feel somewhat guilty asking for things that other people need,
Sure.
and and I'm just not appreciative of. So I think the most important thing we can be thankful for is our health and our family, and our livelihood, which is a roof over our head and food in our kitchens, and but if you don't have a healthy body, none of that really matters.
Sure.
And you can't go play music, or you can't act in a film or anything if you're not well.
Right.
So I feel like you're well and you're wealthy and you're rich beyond compare if you have just your health.
Sure.
And I've always just been so grateful for that because I see what that's like if you don't have it. I just lost in the last 3 years, I've lost my two younger brothers to cancer.
Oh my
And
God.
I think, I miss them dearly, and it's a huge heartbreak to see that their lives were not completely finished as far as I'm concerned because they were younger than me.
Yeah.
And I just feel so grateful that I'm healthy, that my son is healthy, that my grandson is healthy, my daughter-in-law is great, and my friends, and just family. Every day, if we just wake up and just be thankful for the essentials. We talk about everyone's essential. You know what? You're essential if you're healthy and you can help somebody else. So I think every day, I don't mean to preach here, but I might as well.
I
That's
love
part
it.
of me.
Yeah.
If we wake up every day and try to make a point to bless someone besides yourself, I mean, bless yourself, of course, but try to bless someone else that might need a little bit of encouragement. You don't have to, drag out money and give it to people, but it doesn't hurt to have a few bucks in your wallet so you can hand some out the window to a homeless person if it strikes you that that's the thing to do.
You bet.
Bless somebody every day and see if that doesn't improve your own outlook about yourself, because you don't have to look very far to see people in worse shape than yourself.
You know it. Oh man, I'm glad you brought that up. Yesterday, I had that very conversation with my youngest son.
Hmm.
He's an incredible spirit. He's 19, but he's wise beyond his years and he's so kind. And a lot of times I look to him to when I'm, feeling like, what kind of like the what would Jesus do? Sort of like I think about what would Nolan do?
Hmm.
I'm a huge fan of compassion and empathy. One of my heroes, Mr. Rogers, Fred Rogers, is one of those
Yeah.
guys that unconditionally he loves people. That's the way my son is. And yesterday he had a rough day. Everything was going wrong for him. Things that he wanted to work out didn't. And he called me last night late to tell me that he was really bummed out that he every time he recognized what he could have done for somebody else, he missed the mark. And I told him, just the fact that that was important to you, that you saw this woman that couldn't pay for her groceries, a couple of people ahead of you, and you wanted to pay for hers, but somebody just ahead of you actually did it. I said, you put
Oh,
that out in the
well, see,
world.
he got to see that. That was his blessing. He's a young person, so God allowed him to see that blessing. That God will take care of all of us if we'll just have the faith and just walk it out. Because remember, I don't know if you're a Christian or not, but I am. And the way I see all that is Jesus taught us that we're supposed to walk out everything. Every miracle that he performed, he had that person walk it out.
Okay.
Walk and, bathe in the river, go do this, the lepers and, all that. Walk that out. And so as long as you're walking toward faith and as long as you're giving compassion and showing compassion, like the Good Samaritan, that's all we're supposed to do. We don't have to change the world. We're changing the world by changing our attitude and by helping one person in a day's time. You've changed the world because you don't know what that vibration might be somewhere else in the world.
Absolutely. I'm glad you brought that up. Before we went live, we're talking about how important it is to express kindness and how, unfortunately, right now, there's this anonymity behind people staying behind their computers, and they project either insecurity or envy or anger, their bias, without recognizing how that impacts people. They're keyboard warriors, right? So,
It's so ugly to me, Kevin. I don't get it. I mean, I'm not on Facebook anymore because of that. Basically, I just got off of Facebook. I thought I'm not going to have people, rain on my parade every day. And they don't know me. They will never know me. They're not going to change my life for good. And why should I let them put a cloud over my day when they'll never buy any of my records and they're not going to buy me any food, or they probably wouldn't help me if I was on the side of the road with my car broken down. So I think that there's so much hate going on that people no longer have room for love and compassion. And that is very, very dangerous for us as a civilization, not just as a society in America, but I'm talking about all over the world. When people can't have compassion for other people, and when you're looking for something to be wrong with someone, then you're the one that's got the problem. It's not the other person.
I mentioned projecting. Really, that does seem to be oftentimes the case, that they project their insecurities, or they're full of self-doubt or
self-loathing.
Self-loathing, for sure.
Self-loathing. Huh.
And so how do we change
sad.
that?
Well, I think the only way we can change it is one person at a time, and that is to change who we are and remind ourselves, because we want to retaliate. We want to smart off back and say stuff. And I know I do, because I've got a temper. And, we all have our pride, and we all want to, prove that we're worthy of somebody caring about us. But I was so shocked at some of the things that I would read about what people thought of me that had never met me, will never meet me, and the things that they would say to me on Facebook. I thought, how can they say that? They don't know me. They've never met me. They've never been to a concert. They don't know anything about the work I do. Sure. But they can say these horrible things. And then you wonder, have they ever done any good for anyone? And maybe not. But you know what you can do? You can wish them well without saying a word and walk on. Just walk on, walk it out. And walk it off. Sometimes you just have to walk it off.
I do that daily. I mentioned earlier before the podcast, excuse me, that I try to get out every day in the woods. I've got a forest nearby that I try to get some serenity, just quiet time with my pug.
Here we are in Earth Day, and I'm an Earth sign. My birthday's in a couple of weeks, so
happy early birthday!
Thank you. I'm a very earthy person. I think that if we can really appreciate the environment around us, not in our house, not on our screens,
Right.
but around us. Look at the sky. As a child, we used to have this game where we'd all just lay down in the field and we'd see how many animals we could make in the clouds, or how many we thought we could see and all that. And just to roll in the grass and smell the grass and know that the earth is such a healing thing for us.
Absolutely.
And when I'd be on the road for months at a time, it would always do me good to get home and to restore myself in the mountains, just walk and talk and just sit and get rained on or just listen to the streams and just kind of restore yourself. It's a healing thing. And I think more people need to do that. They'd feel better.
Not everybody can, of course. There are people, in all sorts of places that can't get to a forested place, but just being mindful of your environment at all. You get outside and you just look at things around you. We get caught up, in our busy day, and we think about everything we just saw on the news or, what somebody might have said to us, and we ruminate on that instead of focusing on what's right in front of us. And I was talking about
it's not going to help you. It's not going to help you. It's not going to help anyone else. It's just a waste of great energy.
Absolutely. Yeah. On the chat, somebody mentioned Facebook being toxic. I feel like you did, Stella, that for a while I left Facebook because there was so much negative energy. And even though I could choose who to follow or who to block, I kept finding myself catching those things. With my band, the singer's original. They're all, replacement members. And there are some Facebook groups out there that are very hateful towards the newer members in the band. And I tried to win them over. For a long time, I would go out there and I'd say, I'll kill them with kindness. And if they meet me on the road, they're going to love me. I work on that. But I also realized that that's a lot of energy that I could put into other places. And so what I do on my Facebook is totally use it for me. I go out and I get my 60 seconds of serenity because I know that Facebook is going to remind me about that a year from today. So when I go back and maybe next year, I'm not going to be in the same mental space that I'm at where I need a little pick me up. And I could see, that was the day that I was out there in that place with my pug. So I use it to my advantage. But some people have said, it's nice to be able to breathe. We don't have a forest where we're at. Excuse me. See, you're making me nervous. No, I am.
No, that's all right.
I'm not going to cry. I promise. The environment, the earth is a really, really important thing to me. I grew up in Montana. I used to work in Yellowstone Park at the Conservation Corps.
Oh,
I do. Glacier Park was one of my favorite places on the planet. And it's important, I feel like, to at least educate people about those places. And it's, if they never get a chance to get there, they should at least understand why it's protected and how important it is for us to take care of our environment, right? Because
exactly. I grew up in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. My dad.
Yes, you did.
Was born there, so we have great reverence for the mountains and for the trees and the streams and all that. So I think when you get to grow up like I did in that kind of privileged environment, you don't think about the poverty all around in your home or anything because you're so wealthy with compassion and love and home cooked meals in a beautiful environment. That's the way I always saw it. I didn't want everybody to feel sorry for us because we were poor, because I didn't think of us as poor. I just thought, hey, how can you miss something you've never had? How can you compare it to something you've never had before? So why feel sorry for yourself? Just get up and go play. And that's the way my mother would say it. Just get out here and go play. So that's what we did.
I was supposed to ask you about what you, pardon me, about what
It's the allergies.
It really is, actually. I get crazy pollen allergies right now. That's why I'm trying to drink my tea. But no, when you guys were little, one of my listeners yesterday was saying, make sure you ask her about what she and her sisters were supposed to do out looking for rocks when you were kids. Is there a story out there about how that was what your playtime consisted of? Is out, I
think she's probably thinking about, we would go, our mother would send us out occasionally to go find a rock, and we would go find a rock for her to make stone soup. And she usually did that and made sure that the one that was having the roughest time found the stone in their soup. She kind of changed that story around to suit herself for her kids. And so she, everybody get out there and go find a rock and then go wash it. And then we'll put it in the soup. And then I'll decide. And then we'll see who's lucky enough today to get that. So I think that's probably what she was talking about. I don't know.
That's adorable. Were you real close with mom and dad?
Very close.
Okay.
I mean, you are when, we didn't grow up with TV. We didn't grow up with telephones or computers or anything. So uh, we made our own fun by, making up games and just playing in the, in the environment that we were living in, which was great. I always loved it. And my mother was a very imagination. She had a very rich imagination. She was very creative. And so to me, it was a beautiful, experience. You're not supposed to have a Christmas every day. I mean, you can't have
Right.
Christmas every day, but I thought we had a great childhood. I think about it today and some of the sweet memories of the things that she used to do with us and teach us to do. And so I feel blessed. I don't feel deprived at all. I never did actually.
Yeah. I hear the gratitude. I really do.
Yeah.
The podcast is a great place for it too. I recommend, guys, if you haven't, if you're just getting here and you didn't know, Stella has this Pardon Me Nashville podcast that is so personal. You talk about family, you talk about, personal stuff. I think about your family, and what I picture in my mind is you and your sisters, your whole family, just constantly in song. It was there singing going on all the time.
Yeah, but we did that out of joy. We didn't do that because we thought we were going to,
Sure.
become known for it. We just sang because it was a joyful thing to do. And we made up songs because it was a fun thing to do. We didn't know we could make money at that until we were grown practically. So it was just a joyful thing to do. And it was something that was done in our family. My granddad was a songwriter, my mom, my aunts and uncles on my mother's side, they did all that, but they didn't do it to get rich or famous. They did it
Sure.
because that was just part of their heritage and part of ours. So, uh, yeah, we did
Was it
that.
was it expected of you because you had that in the family that all right, Stella, as you know, they could. I mean, obviously, there's family genetics that have been passed down. That your voice is stunning, but
Thank you.
songwriting is a big part of that too, right? You can be a great singer, but if you can't write a song, you're dependent on somebody else providing songs for you. Were you a songwriter at an early age, or did you guys collaborate?
Yeah, we all did that. But we were free range children. We were we were looked after. We knew where the house was, which is home. We knew where to get food. But in the summertime and all that, we just ran the mountains and the hills, and we just kind of created our own environment to do as we chose. And my mother would always say, as long as it's not going to hurt anybody, go ahead and try it. And
I
so,
love.
so
Yeah.
that's what we did. We knew to be good because that was what God would want us to do, and that's what Mom and Daddy would expect us to do. So we didn't go around looking for trouble. I don't have a sibling that's ever been, arrested and put in jail for bad things or anything like that. We were taught to do the right thing, and I think more people need to be taught to do the right thing. And I don't know if we were taught out of fear of what might happen to us, probably that.
Yeah.
But we were taught to be good people and to treat people the way we wanted to be treated. So it's not really that complicated.
Shouldn't be. I think establishing values is a big thing, right? And as a parent, you understand this that um, you can do your best to set aside or set down sort of a list of values that you hold important, and hopefully follow those values yourself, so that you're sort of proving an example. But at the same time, as a parent, I know there are some times when you have to let go. It's a really difficult thing to do.
Well, you're
Is that
supposed to, because children are supposed to learn how to be self reliant. They have to be able to feel respected and trusted to make good decisions. And I
sure?
think we can do that for them by respecting them and trusting them. I noticed, like with my 6-year-old grandson, my son and daughter in law are teaching him to be self reliant and to do things for himself because that's the thing to do. Um, I don't know. Something's happened on the screen here. I don't know what happened.
Okay, yeah, no problem. There are some chats that that are not just displayed here as well. And I was going to say, really beautiful comment here from Lynn Anderson. She said, "Every positive thought builds momentum for more positive
Good.
thoughts. As we open our hearts, we see more open hearts." And I
Mm-hmm.
believe that to be true for sure. You know, you project and manifest that positive outlook. It almost expresses those values that I talked about. You know, you project what your values, what you hold important, and if they are, if your actions are congruent with those values, you know, you're kind of leading with a strong example. Is that
I
important to
think
you?
so. Oh, absolutely. Because I believe in creative visualization, and I think we become what we imagine, and I think we do that for others. I think we're supposed to lead by example, and but I think also that we're supposed to lead by being authentic. Because if we
Hmm.
go around being phony our whole lives, then no one ever knows who we are, and that's even worse. If no one is perfect. We all have our faults. You know that, and I know that.
Yeah,
But uh, take the best part of yourself and try to emphasize that as much as you can. Try not to bring the negative aspects of yourself forward unless you're forced to. And if
sure.
you're forced to, then do. But try not to, because all aspects of us are part of what God gave us to be and become what we were designed to be. And I think we're just like a kaleidoscope. We have all these different aspects of ourselves, all these different colors. And so embrace all of that. And if, I wish I could live to be 500, because I still haven't. I know by the time my life is over, I won't have had the opportunity to do all the things that I would like to in this life. So I'm hoping that there'll be much more opportunity when I get to the other side of whatever this is, and that I'll be able to be something or something more than I've tried to be here at this time in my life. So we'll see.
You know, Stella, usually at the end of my conversations, I'll ask somebody about that. I'll ask them about legacy. You know, when they get to their final days here on Earth, when they look back on their accomplishments and what they held valuable, what would you, Stella, want that legacy to be?
Um, I would want the people that know me to say she was very loyal, very honest, very fair, and she was kind. But she had a temper like a wildcat and a heart like a ball of cotton.
Oh,
That's who I am, and I'm not embarrassed by that.
sure.
I'm not an intellectual, but I'm smart enough to get by. But I think too many people are wishing they were something they're never going to be,
Yeah,
and I think you have to embrace where you are and really see that God has a special place for you. It may not be what you imagine. It may be better than you ever dreamed. And that's kind of what I think my life is. It's better than I ever dreamed. I didn't ever think that people would seek me out to talk to me on their podcast like you are, or to want to know what my opinion is. And to me, that's a great blessing. That's more than I ever dreamed.
sure.
And just to get to play music and people listen to me,
Yeah.
how cool is that? To read my book or to think I want to know what Stella did. So it's my job to be a good example and to leave my son proud of me, and my grandson to say my yaya loved me more than anybody. She thought I was the coolest thing, and I just loved her. She could laugh with me all day long. We had so much fun. She could be a kid with me, or she could get serious with me if I needed it. I want that to be my legacy, that I was authentic, that I was true, and I was loyal. And I think honesty is real important to me, for all of us. Um, I had someone, a family member, some years ago say, "Stella, are you guilty about, or do you feel guilty about anything?" And I thought that was the oddest question. And I said, "No, I don't. I've always tried to do my best. I may not have got it right. Might have made some mistakes, but I sure to hell was trying to do the right thing by whoever I was, involved with or involved in a project with. I didn't set out to harm anybody or for it not to work out. I don't have any regrets and I don't feel guilty. I've done the best I could with what I'm capable of doing.
Uh, that's perfect legacy right there. You
Well, I
mentioned
think
wishing
so.
you were mentioned wishing you could live to 500 because there were things that that you still have left to complete. So what are some of those bucket list things that Stella Parton needs to check off her list?
Um, I'd like to learn to fly plane. I would like to learn to play the piano really good.
Okay.
I would like to be a really great swimmer. Um, uh, I would like to um, own a a place where gifted children, not babies, but children that need a place to live, could come and live and be around other gifted musicians and painters and dancers and all this stuff. And we could all live together in this big compound and all have dinner together every night. And that these young people or children would feel that they had a home
Hmm.
where they can grow and develop and not be afraid. And when they leave, they have a job or a profession or a craft that will um, satisfy their needs and their survival needs in the world. What a great thing that would be, is to
Yeah.
own a place like that and to be able to do that for young people that don't have a place to be and don't have people to validate them and to recognize their gifts and all that. And you have to spend so much of your life trying to figure out what your gifts are and what you're capable of. And I don't think you get that in school like you should.
Right.
Conventional school does not teach that. It teaches kind of like a real linear way. And if you don't learn it this way, then, you're going to fail that grade or that subject. And because I never was good with math, but I was so good with other things, I should have been, blessed for that instead
Sure.
of, thought of as being a little slow because I couldn't do math very well.
Sure.
A lot of people have math anxiety, but I could do other things. And I just would like to have a place where children could live and just roam the forest and, help grow food or help build things and, do all the things that we all should be allowed to do. My grandson is going to a Montessori school, and they teach that way, that kind of free range for a child to kind of find their own interests and be acknowledged for it, not scolded for it or graded badly for it. So I think I would like to see education leapfrog over the traditional way we teach children and allow children to be more free range like I was brought up, because my mother and dad were geniuses about that. They didn't expect us to be like each other. They wanted us to be ourselves and to express ourselves however we did, and we have. And I think that's what has given me and my sister and the rest of my siblings such self awareness and self acceptance. Just be who you are, and the rest will take care of itself.
I so love that response. I have a guest a week from today that was someone I grew up with. When we were younger, he was kind of a knucklehead, right? He was
Yeah,
one of those guys that I thought, I didn't see becoming the man that he is. His name is
yeah.
Yarrow Craner. He created this organization called Hatch, that it's like a think tank for people all over the world in their area of expertise, whether it's as human rights activists or they're astrophysicists or maybe they're environmental consultants. But the best in all these areas come together as think tanks to change the world for positive. And he's done it about 20 years and it's been all over. He's done TED
How
Talks and
incredible is that?
it really is. And it was remarkable to me to have seen him when he was younger. Both of our parents were art teachers. And so we kind of grew up in that environment. But I love that he's making, his all of his efforts are being stewards of this world, right? Not just our country, but this world where we're making things a better place. And it starts where you're speaking of. It does start at that age, right, where their creativity is really starting to spark. And
When they're
Montessori,
innocent, yeah.
yeah, right. They haven't
Don't
been
take
jaded.
that innocence away from people. Let them keep that as much as possible. I think that's the secret, is keep your child alive inside yourself, because people will try to kill your little kid inside
Yeah.
you or banish it to its room. I know that'll happen in relationships. It has with me. But don't ever let anyone banish you to your room with your dreams and hopes and aspirations. You have a right to be here. You have a right to dream. And you have a right to express yourself however you feel like you need to, as long
You're
as it's not going to hurt anybody.
Really, that, there's the golden rule there. There are some,
Yeah.
elements of recovery that sound like that's a big part of that as well. Making
Uh-huh.
amends when you're accountable for stuff, but also making sure that it's not going to harm someone. Uh,
Uh-huh.
you're in Nashville, correct?
Today, yes.
Today. Okay.
Yeah.
So there are thousands of aspiring young musicians that show up in Nashville wanting to have the dreams of success that the Parton family has had, right?
Uh-huh.
With the insight that you've got wisdom. You've been around so many different elements
Been
of this
around the
industry.
horn a long time.
Well, but really, it's one thing to just spend time on this planet, but it's another thing to be observant and understand what works and what doesn't work. And I would think, do you do any kind of coaching? When do people come to you and say, "Stella, write me a song," or I'm the new Taylor Swift. Help me discover and make my way through this industry. I could see you imparting such incredible wisdom. Do you have any relationships like that with younger, up aspiring musicians?
I have done that, and I did that for quite a while. But I became so discouraged with some of the people that I worked with, some of my clients. I'll call them
Okay.
clients or students. I've had some of those young people come to town and think they're supposed to be famous overnight. And I mean, I take them through a syllabus. It's like a year of training, and it's like a college course, a master's course in entertainment and, being on the stage and everything. Not just voice and, musicians and all that stuff and songwriting, but just learning how to love people, because you can't be famous and expect people to love you if you don't love people.
Sure.
And you're not going to, I would have them write like a paper every month, as what we were working on at that stage or whatever. And I remember this one kid, and he still hasn't made it, but I got him a record deal and I produced an album on him and everything after that year was up. But he just wanted to be famous, but he didn't want to work. He
Yeah.
didn't want to get along with people. He would go down on Broadway and start fights and all kinds of stuff, because somehow in his mind he thought that would make him popular or
Wow.
give him some,
Yeah.
notoriety. But I just stopped working with people because, really, if anybody comes and asks me, I give them as much solid advice as I can. I teach them what I can teach them in the moments that I have with them, or I try to impart what wisdom I have. But uh, you have to have a burning desire to love people to do what we do, because it's not all glamour. You know that as
Yeah.
well as I do.
Yeah.
But if you love people, I've always seen myself and my music. My music is a front for what I do, which is to be a messenger of hope for other people. Because if I can do it, then I want people that might feel hopeless to say, well, if Stella Parton can accomplish that, then surely I can, because I can sing better than her. I can play guitar better than her. I'm prettier than her. Good. Let's get out here and do it. Now go do it. And, figure out all the things that you're going to need to get that done. Because it's not just being able to sing pretty or to be pretty, because I know lots and lots and lots of people that play guitar, as you do. All these people, and they mess up their lives,
Yeah.
and they can't get, uh, you know, they can't if they could get their shit together, they couldn't pick it up with both hands. And you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Oh
You know
you mean,
exactly what I'm talking
you,
about. It's like, what in the world? And they climb on the bus, and then they have everybody torn up before you get to the first gig. And it's like, we got to
right.
get rid of this person because they're a train wreck. We
Yeah.
can't have this around here because we're trying to work. We're trying to do something good,
Yeah.
not just for ourselves or myself and the band and our families, but for the audiences that are sacrificing their money to come and see us. We owe them the best we have. They don't owe us, we owe them.
That is the best perspective. I have had that conversation with so many of both bandmates and bands that we tour with when
Yeah.
they kind of lose sight of what it's all about, right? When they get
Uh-huh.
caught up in their own story and they don't realize that people have not only bought tickets to the show, they may have flown in, they may have gotten hotels, they're getting babysitters, they've taken the time, they've spread the word to help support what they believe is your brand and the memory and the thought of what they have in mind about your band.
Your
And
product.
oh my goodness, I like for
It's
me,
your product.
sometimes people are, a little skeptical because I go out and I try to meet everybody. I love people and I'm so grateful to be on stage getting to do what I love. And I mean, there's the bonus. You get paid for it, right?
Uh-huh.
It's incredible to me. I don't want to take that stuff for granted. I think I don't ever hear you taking anything for granted. When you listen to your podcast,
No,
when I've seen the interviews with you, it seems like you like to leave behind a little bit of Stella with them too. Do you feel
I
like that's
try.
an yeah, I
Now, you will hear me complain about people that are disrespectful, people in high places that disrespect other human beings. I go all to pieces over that one. I
that's
cannot abide by that. So I do get on my soapbox about that because, I got real political after this last administration. And I thought, what in the world? They're not respecting other human beings. I mean, they were elected to be guardians over our
right.
country and do the right thing by us. So I could not be still about that. I could not be silent. If
Yeah.
you see a problem, you better be speaking out about it and you better be doing what you can. It may not be anything but a podcast, but speak up,
That
say something so people don't start thinking this is normal. It's not normal.
that's
And we
accountability.
have to do the right thing and be kind.
Yeah.
Just be kind to people. We owe it to humanity to respect people like we want to be respected. It is the golden rule. It's not complicated.
Right. Decency, but being able to speak out about that stuff, that's accountability. It's one thing for elected officials where it's beyond expected, right? I mean, they represent the greater good. And if you are out there representing an entire country, entire culture, then yeah, you should be accountable and be decent. You said it's not that hard.
It
Having one of those
shouldn't be.
okay, one of those jobs would be difficult, but that's why you go in. You take on a hard job if you're going to do good things, right? And
You
it's
think? Because you
I
didn't get
think
there by yourself. No one
right.
gets anywhere alone. You've got to have help. It's like I couldn't do this today without Michael. Michael's here to help me and to make sure that everything's set up and all that. You don't get to do anything on your own. And it's not about you, it's about the collective. It's
Yeah.
about every human being part of, that's part of the whole. We're not the omnipotent. We're all just part of it.
I,
And we have to get that straight. I will say this, and I don't know how you feel about this, but I think uh, for me, a lot of stuff in rock music that's happened throughout my life, because I grew up in the 60s, so I can say this. A lot of the stuff, the behavior of a lot of the rock bands and stuff have made people think that that's okay to behave that way. Well, it's not.
right.
And a lot of them have become very successful being jerks
Yeah.
and being immoral and being, treating women horrible and all that stuff. But that doesn't make them good people. You might
Right.
enjoy their music, but they're not good people. I don't care who they are. You know who I'm talking about. We could name a whole bunch of
Yeah.
them.
I bring him on sometimes and I hold him accountable on this show, as a matter of fact.
And, I don't want to be at this stage of my life and at this stage of my career and have to apologize for crap I did when I was in my 20s.
Right.
Or crap I did when I was in my 30s, 40s, or 50s. It's like,
sure.
Don't be doing that stuff. You don't have to apologize for it if you didn't do it to start with.
Sure.
That's just like people who drink or whatever. And they say, well, I was drunk. I didn't know I was doing that. Well, who got you drunk?
Right.
It's like, excuse me.
That excuse works maybe when you're 16, right? As adults, it blows my mind.
It doesn't with me. It never
right.
did.
Yeah. I mean, but I do hear adults say that. And it's, like I said, accountability is really important.
Well,
for me.
I was young then. I didn't know what I was doing. Yes, you did.
Sure.
We have this, a young artist that really did some really bad stuff, said some really nasty things here in country music. And I called him out.
Good.
I thought, you know what? A woman could never get away with that,
right.
First of all. And for people to say, well, he's young, well, that's not a good enough excuse. That boy grew up in the church. His dad was a minister. He should be ashamed of doing that to his mom and dad, for one thing,
Amen. Much
less his fans and his record company and the people that have invested in him.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to do that. Women don't. I can't think of any women that have ever done that, but if they did, do you think they'd have 5 minutes of success after that? No, they wouldn't.
Oh, everything would be tarnished.
Men should not think they can get away with that. That's a double standard, and we both know it.
I think there's a transition.
Don't get me started.
I love it, man. That's exactly what I was hoping. I was not surprised to get the real Stella Parton. Yeah. The people that really know Stella, one thing I love to do is ask about guilty pleasures. People that really know Stella, what would they be surprised to find out about you?
I love to hear dirty jokes, and I love to tell them.
Okay, all righty then. I'm going to put you on the spot. Can you give me? You got to tell me a dirty joke. We're friends now.
No, not today.
Really? Okay.
No. That'd be the first thing that would be on, social media. It's like, can you believe she said that?
Well, just the fact that you love to tell them and love to hear them. I think, it's interesting that people are oftentimes really afraid to talk about, things that, that they listen to, or they, you're a fan of healthy eating, but, if you like to, sit down with, a box of Reese's Pieces or something like that, then, you got to get away with that now and then. But I think...
what is my guilty pleasure?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not a big sweet eater. I think probably if I'm addicted to any kind of junk food or something like that, it would be premium saltine crackers.
Oh, okay. That's pretty safe.
I sneak and eat those, and sometimes I think if I'm sick, I eat them. My son's been sick for a while. And so I noticed he always made fun of me for he said, Mom always has premium saltines in the cabinet. So I know she's not going to starve as long as she has. But now he's eating them because they make him feel better.
Yeah.
But I think that's one of my guilty pleasures, because that to me is not really food, but it's something that you can eat with a glass of milk and some peanut butter.
It works for you. Look what it's done for you. Man, goodness, you look remarkable.
It does work for me.
I have to tell you, I know that you've got another interview. I admire you so much, and I really appreciate getting to know, the inside of who you are. I would imagine that you probably have had enough questions about Big Sister in your life. If you want to maybe...
Lord, I have had enough questions, and I usually, these days, I borrow one of her comebacks when someone asks her about me. Well, she's not here. Don't ask me about her.
Yeah.
That's hers. I'm quoting her.
I love that. Well, you know what? I mean, you've got your complete identity in and of yourself. It's
I like
remarkable.
to think so.
40 albums. You've had a record label since 1975. You've really done such amazing things. And more than any of those accomplishments, I love just knowing who you really are, your authentic self. I love that you project it, that you pass it on, and you communicate this. In the Facebook chat, I see a lot of people are talking about hooray for your authenticity. And I appreciate your vulnerability. It's a beautiful thing to get to talk to you. I hope when we get to Nashville, or wherever you're at that point,
Please invite us. I want to come to the show.
Oh, I would love that. Come backstage and we'll do it in person, when we're all
Oh,
vaccinated.
I'd love
And I am Stella Parton. Folks, if you're watching this right now, go to stellaparton.com. Check out her social media links. Her stuff is all over the place, from Spotify to Apple Music. Grab Survivor. That record is phenomenal. And
Thank you, honey.
it really is. I mean, I wanted to ask you about that record too. So maybe we'll have you come back for a part 2 someday if you're up for it.
Oh, that's fine. Anytime, just let us know. But I think to leave you with this, it's like, leave the world a little better than you found it. If we can all do that, then we haven't taken up too much oxygen, too much space in the world while we were here.
That's a beautiful sign off for Earth Day. I love it. Stella Parton, thank you so much. And folks, thanks again for watching this. If you haven't, please subscribe to my channel, youtube.com/allaccesslive with Kevin Rankin. Stella, thank Michael as well for helping set this up. And I have a beautiful Earth Day. Get out there and change the world.
You too. Bye.